Hello, curious souls. This episode is about Hilma af Klint, who was a Swedish artist, and her series of spiritual, I would say. They've been branded as spiritual artworks that just showed at the Guggenheim. And I am going to be decoding them in a way that I have never seen decoded before because I sometimes can channel, and she's been on my mind since I saw her show, and just today I had a major revelation ahead of a full moon in Sagittarius portal. I am recording this at 11 p.m. on June 13th, 2019, Eastern Time. So, what I want to get into is the fact that Hilma af Klint was an artist from Sweden in the early 1900s, and she was also a psychic channel and basically made a bunch of paintings that were channeled throughout her life, but not her whole career wasn't based on these channeled paintings. And instead of showing them in the time of like Kandinsky and Mondrian and modernism, instead of showing them, she held on to them, basically wrote a notebook about how to curate them, and said you can only show them like 50 years after I die or something like that. So it is the year 2019 right now, and the Guggenheim is the exact structure that she instructed to show her work, but the Guggenheim was built after she died. And there was no way that Frank Lloyd Wright would have known about her diary. So that's one pretty incredible fact. So a lot of people assume that Hilma af Klint's work was Christian or theosophic because she was interested in these things. Now, I myself have dabbled in Christianity, and I'm not Christian. I've really studied Mary Magdalene. I've studied, the things that came naturally to me without me being the thing. So last night I had some intuitive astral dreams, and they pointed me to Saturn and the Saturn cube, which is not something that I have ever explored before. I've always been fascinated by space and NASA. I never really took any of the, I guess, I don't want to call them conspiracy theories because that's how they're labeled, but I've never really looked into space conspiracy theories. I do believe that there is a matrix. I believe that it is a matrix of thought and consciousness. But when I heard about the Saturn cube matrix, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So you can look this up. I will link to some videos, but I'm not saying I agree with anything or believe anything. I am just saying that through this journey, I believe. No, I guess I can't say I believe. Through this journey, I have been able to fully decode Hilma af Klint's work and receive a message, a call to action for us, because we are living in the time in which her artwork has finally been shown to the public. So, the Saturn cube matrix theory is basically a theory that I'm really going to sound like drunk history. So you can look it up yourself. It's in mythology, Egyptian, Babylonian, Greek, and obviously Roman. There is a overarching focus on Saturn, the planet, the mythology connected to Osiris, connected to Jesus, Ra, all of these mythologies and parables in basically religious history. So the Matrix, basically, the idea of the Matrix is that all of the world's religions are actually a cover for worshiping Satan. But really, like, when it comes down to it, God cannot exist without Satan, and Satan cannot exist without God. And it's just kind of like playing with humanity. None of these exist because the idea of duality is really the devil. The idea of duality is really how we are being controlled, and the connection to duality is that there's a six-sided storm at the poles of Saturn, and that this symbol has been replicated in several ways, like the Star of David, but also like the Kaaba at Mecca and other black cubes. So the idea is that the black cube represents the fact that we are being controlled by something that is not universally organic, which is the concept of time. Time is a construct. Time is not is not part of the laws of the universe. In, when you're looking at like sacred geometry and math and all of those things, time is in essence a prisoner, or a prison for humanity, and it's coming through Saturn because entities larger than we can even imagine have controlled Saturn to the point that, because Saturn is the central sun of the universe or of our galaxy, I'm not really sure. This is why this is drunk history. This is just my like really shitty setup for Hilma off Klint. Saturn was thought to be, in all of the research I've done, Saturn was thought to be the original sun. And so it was supposed to be projecting all of these beautiful realities of just being. But something got hijacked on Saturn to where the projection coming through to our planet, and my assumption is all the other planets too, because like if you hijack Saturn, like why would you only fuck with Earth? I don't know. This is like really over my head. I don't know. It gets real crazy. But, you gotta trust your intuition, and that's what I'm doing, and my channel has been very clear, so we are gonna continue with this. Saturn has been, Saturn is being controlled in some manner, and therefore we as humanity are being controlled because of the fact that we exist inside of the realm of this cube in our consciousness, because we believe in the concept of time and the concept of duality, good or bad, black or white, Democrat, Republican, boy, girl, wrong or right. These don't actually exist in the universe. They just don't. Duality is a form of mind control, and so is time. And obviously religion is the one that keeps people so busy and so guilty to even like have their own autonomy of their own consciousness. So if we look just at 3 of Hilma af Klint's paintings from what is called the Altarpiece series, the paintings for the temple. She claims that during a seance in 1906, she was asked by one of the high masters, basically her guides. She did seances with a group of women called the Five, and that's crazy because I was watching this video by Lucid Living TV recently. She has a YouTube channel, and they were talking about the Five, and it was like really insane. So I will link to that. So basically, one of the high masters, she made paintings based on seances, and this one was like a really intense task. So the other five were like, we can't take that on. This is like too spiritually like intense. But she was like, let's do it. So it was 193 works from 1906 to 1915. So basically, she channeled spirits to do this work, and she didn't interpret it. Like, she just did the work. So let's look at the first one, Group X, number 1, Altarpiece, 1915. This is the original sun at the top because it's Saturn. The original sun is Saturn, based on my findings and based on this intuition. And if you zoom, okay, and then everybody thinks these are stairs, but actually this is a projection of light. What do we see? We see the rainbow. That is what light is. This sun is projecting the rainbow onto all of the surrounding areas. And it is beautiful. And if you zoom into the little triangle at the top of the kind of cone of vision, of projection, there's like one egg little symbol in there, and then it's one egg gets kind of like obscured and rounded and flattened till it goes to the bottom. And this is in rainbow colors, which is the prism of light that humans can perceive as light. The golden sun is beaming. It's not obscured. If we go to the next one, a lot of times this painting is shown upside down. So zoom into the top. This is a zoom out of the previous. So you can see a little galaxy up there. And then we've got the projection. Where is it going? It's been hijacked. Because now, what's happening after this line of hijack, this looks like hell. This looks like fiery hell. We've got duality. Look, they've split into two. And there's rings around this sun now. There's rings around the sun. That's Saturn. Now, if you go to the next one, if you have ever seen a photo of the planet Saturn, you know that there is a hole at the poles, and surrounding what looks like a black hole, there is a six-sided storm. Many of these religions, Judaism, that's where the five-sided star comes from. This is where that cube comes from. So she does a really good job with these tiny, teensy-weensy little details. So there's the hole, and there's the storm and the sacred geometry inside of it. So the message from Hilma off Klint is It's not even from her. The message that she was given, I am able to decipher it. And I feel extremely shy, but called to express this if it resonates with anyone else. I am not like a professional channeler. This is just like my interpretation of this in the form of feeling a psychic download. And I know what those feel like. And it always feels the same. And this is that. We are so busy. She didn't know. She didn't know. Okay, like let's just state the fact that Hilma af Klint was an artist. But the reason why she kept this work private was because she didn't want to be part of the art world conversation. These were messages. These were communications. This is not like art, you know? This is not art world, art Basel, art for visual pleasure. This is messages, and she didn't want it to get intellectualized. Or that was her instinct. I don't want to speak for this woman, but what I'm saying is like, this is not art, and like we need to respectfully, like, let's look beyond the artist, right? Let's look beyond the artist. We can have conversations about her art, but this is about the message of her art, which I think was really wise of her not to publish and put them out, because it was not the right time. Because the message, because when she put this out, we hadn't even, quote, landed on the moon. 1905, she made these. This is a very long time ago. But she knew. The rings of Saturn had never even been published. She channeled so that we in 2019, or whoever else is getting this message, can understand that humanity is never going to save itself if it only focuses on planet Earth or Gaia. We have got to save Saturn. The only way we can do that is if we wake people up from dogmatic, organized religion. And I am saying this out of love for humanity. I do not judge anyone who is religious. I don't believe in judgment because I don't believe in duality. But all religion teaches you is about good and bad, about the tree of good and evil, the apple, the sin, pleasure. It is full of guilt, and it is going to keep us in the cube of time. And as long as we are in the cube of time, we are just hamsters, because we are not realizing that the real Star Wars are about Saturn. The real need to go to space is not to like circle jerk on Mars. I'm so sorry. That was very inappropriate. But do you feel me? Like, what is the point of all these tech bros going to Mars? No. Wake up. Wake up. It's not a drill. It's about Saturn, and it's about understanding that we're already out there, because, you know, obviously if NASA can do the things that we know it can do, I mean, it can do so much else, you know. Think beyond the realms that you can even think beyond. This is higher consciousness. When people say to meditate, do you know why? Do you know why it's important to meditate? Because life is not about duality. It is about balance. It is about balancing into wholeness, into oneness. Not duality. Duality is not a concept. Oneness is a concept. Beingness is a concept. Productivity is a construct. Money, that's a construct. Time, that's a construct. Being is what life is about. And to be, one must balance. What do we balance? Our energy. Because we are all energy. We are all energy. And the way that we balance is by meditating so that we can begin to integrate our higher consciousness, these realms, when we go, lucid dreaming, with our physical waking reality. That is the goal here on planet Earth. Decoding Hilma of Klint was extremely clear to me because I guess my higher self pushed for it, because usually when you go to the museum and you take the brochure, I keep them sometimes, but no, I put this one on my wall and I've been staring at it for a long time. It's part of her Big 10 series. And I realized today that there's a Saturn on that one. And I just went into this oh shit, connecting the dots. And I wasn't gonna put anything out. I was going to just keep it to myself. But there's so many illusions happening in the world. We cannot save this planet without saving Saturn. It's that simple. I can't explain it, but I know that this is real, and I know that this is true. So if I was listening to this a year ago, 6 months ago, I would be like, what the fuck is she talking about? But this is for the people that it resonates with. I don't know. It's a little, my little beam out into the world to your antennas using this thing called the internet, which is just meta cube. It really is, if you think about it. There's so many YouTube videos out there that I have watched covering this topic. If you want to know more about the research that I've done, I am happy to post the links. This is probably not my last decoding of Hilma af Klint, because I was just using 3 of her paintings this time. And I'm just going to keep my channel open because it just keeps getting clearer. And I'm so grateful that I have been meditating and I have been in my own energy and I have been forgiving and letting go of grievances and using all of my triggers as tools to embrace my shadows and heal, do deep healing. This is how I don't go to any classes. I don't have a guru. You don't have to do this for money. Don't let capitalism fool you into thinking that you need a guru to heal. We go inside. That's how you heal. There's no amount of books, no amount of podcasts, no amount of YouTube videos, no amount of gurus that can heal you the way that you can. And that is the essence of this life, is to balance your energy. The reason why we are controlled. It's you didn't spend 10 hours a day last week of work. You spent your energy waking up, going to work, dealing with all the work bullshit, coming home and carrying the work with you. Maybe getting on the internet and getting bummed out, or maybe getting on the internet and getting angry because of all the duality, because you have to pick sides. Picking sides, picking winners and losers, that's how your energy gets harvested. Once again, if I had listened to my own self 6 months ago, I would be like, what the fuck? But this just is what I am supposed to say. That your energy gets harvested. You don't have to believe me. I don't really want to convince anyone. I mean, I really do want to save the universe, I guess, but just one person. Can't put the weight of the world on myself. But you can just do your own research. Like, I am nobody. You could just go do your own research. Go research the astrology and the energies of the planets every time a threat of war or a very polarizing news story comes out. I will not explain that, it's just like, if this does resonate, do little things like that. Like, when the energy is so pure and there's a portal, full moon, new moon, eclipse, when there are beautiful transits for people's intuitions, for their crown chakras to open, just look. I'm not a psychic in that sense. I can't predict stuff, but I'm just saying, track it and you will find that is how energy harvesting happens. And how are wars funded? They're funded because of religion. Because we have been taught that there's a good and a bad. We have been taught that there is love and there is hate. And so if you teach people how to hate, then you can fund wars. And if you teach people how to hate, you can just take all their energy. I don't know what that energy is being used for, but we need it. And I feel that message very strongly from Hilma af Klint's paintings, not from her, and no discredit to her, but from the messages. I understand them. I can't even give myself credit. This is so much bigger than me. This is my higher self. This is consciousness speaking through me. So, that is what I wanted to discuss for decoding Hilma af Klint's paintings in a way that no one else has before, because it should not be part of art critique. It should be part of metaphysical conversations. Now I'm going to go, because she has a painting that makes Earth look flat, and I'm going to go investigate flat Earth, I guess, because I always thought that shit was hilarious and bullshit, but you never fucking know. Once again, I don't believe in anything. I don't subscribe to any dogmas. I just follow what I know, because we are all magnets. When we clear our energy field, our magnet and our magnetism becomes clear, and we don't have to think as much. We can just let that magnet let us go and flow. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm not trying to be dogmatic. I'm not trying to preach. I am just going with the flow of my magnet, of what I am being guided to do, being called to do, being guided. So I hope this resonated, and Wow, it's like really cool to get this off my chest. Thanks for anyone who listened. If you like this stuff, let me know because this stuff is super weird and like I am literally down to talk to anyone about it. Bye.